Well, damn, is my hair that frosty gray? What? So, it's one of those days where you... Oh, I'm going to turn this down. So, no, this is not my team. Let's not get it twisted. This is fucking cold out here. That's some spray paint I spray over this shit right now. Period. Let that be known. This is not my squad. I represent the Bay Area. That's it. Only reason I'm wearing this is because it's from the Bay. So, the video I'm about to make right now is a video that has to be made for every single American out there. Everybody in the past and everybody in the future should understand what I'm about to say. We're born to a mother and a father in this country, and, you know, some people just are abandoned. So when you're an abandoned kid, you're just born. In saying what I just said, not everybody has the greatest parents. Not all the people that have kids are the greatest parents. When you're born in the United States of America, from the day you're born, you create revenue. Your life itself produces money. From the day you're born, you need food, diapers, shelter, and water. Every single American is born into this dynamic. Some people have family with money. Some people just have family. In what I just said, the odds of the average person born in this country living and dying with the shelter have decreased probably more than 90%. In other words, if you're born today with a house over your head, you're most likely going to die homeless. So you figure, how the hell am I coming up with these, numbers that are only in my mind? These are not numbers. These are visuals. I'm not seeing a number or a percentage of people. What I see is simple. I see people having a life, start off with an apartment, young man, his woman, they have kids. I can see a tragedy, happening. The woman leaving the man. No, he's on the streets. Kids are being raised by mom all alone. I can see older people losing all that they've had, living out of storage units. These are things I am seeing. People's whole lives in a storage unit. Their whole lives in 30 fucking sleeping bags. Oh, the dragon blows smoke. But when a dragon blows fire, that's where there's a problem. So, what brings me to why I feel the way I do today? Simple. I see so many young homeless people. And you see all these young homeless people. How many of them started out without a home? 0. Or says it 00. Or 0.00. Who's born homeless? So why are you homeless by the age of 20? What is the American dream? How can you survive if your destiny is to end up in a tent if you're not one of the top 10%. And then, when you get enough to last above water, when you're floating, it can be taken away. It can be lost. Not in minutes, in seconds, nanoseconds. That reality brings me to how I feel today. The other day, I was saying to myself, all I see is young people homeless. And then for some weird reason, I was watching and I started looking at them I'm like, wow. There's some older people here that are in great shape. They're not with the other that are homeless. So the assumption is that they're the new homeless. You are 40 years old and lose everything. Nobody's trying to hire your old ass for nothing. You're not qualified to do that or that. Some people who don't understand, who want to judge me, I'll just do this. There you go. Saying I'm evil for telling the truth. Look at his horns, because he's pointing out some shit everyone can see. You got people who had it all, who have a shopping basket now, and everything they got is in storage. No 401k, 501k, no 1k in the bank. There's no money. Kids don't give a fuck. So what is it about America now? Is that promise only to those who have some money? Is that dream? You dream of hitting the lottery. What is an American dream? I dream. Had a dream of equality. What is a fucking dream? What happens when you dream? What are you doing when you're dreaming? What brings on a dream state? You got to be sleeping the dream. To be woke is to feel the reality. So the American dream is not to feel the American reality. The reality is you're born with potential. But the societal situation may leave you with nothing to start with so you can even ever reach your potential. So if I can't reach up because somehow somebody told me to cut my legs off, and I'm like, well, that sounds like a good idea. You cut your legs off and you can't reach up now. You're like, well, maybe if you wouldn't have cut them so short. You get cut before you start. Education is not what it was supposed to be. That cuts you. The struggles, the fact that mom and dad both have to work now. Remember back in the days? Dad went to work, mom stayed at home. Well, if you stop giving dad a goddamn job, mama gotta go to work. Think about it. The ultimate divide and conquer, which broke down America, wasn't the fact that women went to work. It was the fact that the man before that was so asshole-ish, they thought that if the women had anything, they wouldn't give a fuck about them. Comes to find out that when women have more than men, they really don't give a fuck about them. So maybe there was something to it for men holding their place within the power of the household? I don't know. Because I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm one of those guys that say, well, if we give him a job, we're taking the job from him. I was in that generation. So I can't really complain because I had an opportunity. But the window was so slim that Drew Brees couldn't hit that motherfucker. And he hit everything. See what I'm saying? Those with no opportunities most likely end up homeless. So, what about those who had everything, who end up homeless? These horns out again. Get the horns out. Maybe I should do a J. Jonah Jameson for this one. Those people who are born with money, who then abandoned by the money, they end up homeless. No! Start my cocaine, drive my brand new BMW Z-Class, one that nobody else has. Going back and forth to my parents' penthouse in the city. As I ride back to my Rand in my cocaine-induced haze, I hit somebody. Run him over. Mom and Dad be like, fuck that. You fucked up everything. We gave you your whole life. Fuck you. Guess what happens to that guy? Homeless. In a brand new goddamn badass BMW. Still trying to get his coke. So he loans it out to the drug dealers. How long that last? Homeless. There's a guy used to work all up in fucking Google somewhere. They had him on the TV. Living in a tent smoking meth. How the fuck you working big time in Google and can't afford rent? Can't afford your release, your high. Back in the days, I've seen some very successful people maintain their high. I've seen it. And it's like, my God, this person does drugs. Hope they don't notice me over here. That was back in the day. I'm too old for drugs now. Everything has a time period. Fame, your balls, your marriages, your relationships, your attitude. You are not the same person you started out as. You're either smarter, braver, naive. You got softer, harder. People grow and change. But if your shit ain't right, if you ain't got it right by a certain age, and I said this a long time ago, you will end up with nothing and fucked up. Back in the day, somebody says, how much you making? I make $14.35 an hour. I make money. And then I went on to a video to tell people that when you are 16 years old, you should have a job making, just say, no, wait. When you are 14 years old, you should have a job making at least $11 an hour. And I said the equivalent to this when I was 35 years old. So when I was 35 years old, I was saying that young people who go to work should at least make, I think it was like $11, $13 an hour. Their first job. And then when I got older, I think I made a statement like, when I was young, I was only making X amount of dollars an hour. But in reality, I should have been making like $15 more than that. And that was when I was like, almost in my 40s. I'm old now. And the minimum wage is $15 an hour, almost. Well, it should have been $15 an hour when I was 17. If it was $15 an hour when I was 17, people in my same age bracket would not be homeless right now if they had the same mind state I have. I went to work for a friend of mine at a factory. He said they needed somebody to fill in with my expertise and shit. I never worked there a day in my life. He says, I want you to go up for 2 days and show these people what to do. Don't tell them how much money you're making. I show up for 2 days and tell these people what to do and leave. I do like a pretty much consultant thing. In them 2 days, I made like $437 in 16 hours. I think that comes up to $25 a time. A little over, I don't know my mindset. I can't think the numbers right now. But the people that was working in the warehouse was making a lot less than me. And I did what I had to do. And I left. But then you think, how many days a year I work? I do the math. I don't do that many days a year. It's 365 days in a year. I think, I don't know, I forget. A long time ago, they might have changed things. Pluto used to be a planet. So, if I were to work, just say, what, $400 every 2 days, was $200 something a day. That's some pretty fair money. But in today's world, no. Today's world, I would be homeless because I don't work every day. I'm not asking for that. I'm not asking for my knowledge in an everyday situation or capacity, ever. You know? It's like every job I've ever had, I get to a certain point, bing! You either go or you go backwards. And I've always gone. Never got any higher at a certain point. The most I've ever made on any job, that was even semi part-time, was like $30 an hour. We as an American, one of the problems that we have is our knowledge. What we know about a situation when we're into the situation. When you learn your job and you know your job, you're like, you can't tell me shit about this. You can't tell me about that. You can't tell me about that machine. You can't tell me nothing about what this job entails. And then we love our job, and then our job means so much to us, and then we don't have that fucking job. And then we have to take our asses someplace else. And as an American, you can't go to the next place with your same knowledge and your same attitude, because there's a queue in which you must... What the fuck is that sound? There's a queue you put yourself in. You don't start off with the same seniority. And Americans have a fucked up attitude of, oh, you're doing it wrong. And the guy shows up and he's telling you you're doing some shit wrong. And you has never, ever seen this motherfucker ever on the job site ever. And he shows up and tells you you're doing something wrong. Because he done something similar at another job site for a different company doing something completely different. And he's telling the boss that knows you for the last 8 years that this guy's doing something wrong. Because over at the other place I used to work at, we used to do it like this. And then Americans who lose their job at the other place, who come to the other place, expect, almost demand the same amount of money. So that's why a whole bunch of motherfuckers end up not working for a long time. I was making $47.95 an hour at Smith & Barney Johnson. I'll be goddamned if I come over here and take $9.72 an hour for your company. I will take no less than Next. And then that person, oh, they'll write a letter to that person's boss. I'm like, this guy didn't even give me a chance. Cousin, fire her. I've seen it. Nepotism runs rampant through America. And that's why it's all fucked up. A lot of people can't get construction jobs because apparently construction companies like hiring family and friends. And or people they want to hire, not necessarily people that they need to hire. I'm just saying. There's a history of that. My uncle was thrown off a roof in the 50s for taking a job that was supposed to be meant for somebody else. But, they threw him off the roof and poured a bunch of tar on him, and he lived ridiculed for the rest of his life. His burnt lips, they called him, and shit, and they fucked with him. He became an alcoholic. Life was fucked up, whatever. That's what happens to some people, You get treated fucked up within this society, and, you just got to deal with it. But, like I said, you're born with parents. Parents have dreams and aspirations. Shit happens. Either dad's got a job, mom's got a job, shit is making it. You get a certain age, if you ain't got what they got, if they don't own a house, you're going to die homeless. If their house is not paid for by the time that they're a certain age, they're going to die homeless. That's the new American reality. If you don't have a home, you're going to die homeless. An apartment, not a house. Living with somebody in a house is not your house. I don't have a house. I can soon die homeless. I don't own a house. Everything you see is provided to me. Probably one of the only people that give a fuck about me in life. But other than that, that's my business. But, the average American will be born, live, and die homeless. That is the American reality. So, you can talk about people on drugs. You can talk about people who go to work every goddamn day. Going to work every day does not provide you a home or a place for your family to rest. I live on a family property. And this game is awesome. About 5-8 years ago, we're going to put a tough shed in the backyard. We were told that it would cost almost $10,000 for the permits to put a tough shed in the backyard because people were going through the financial thing, and the cities don't want people moving their families in the backyards. So you can't have a shed that's a certain size in your backyard without X amount of permits. And then, if you have more than one shed in your yard, they must be 50 feet apart from each other. Because they don't want people moving their families in on their properties. That's illogical. If there was 5 or 6 outhouses in the backyard, do you know how many people would not be homeless? They'd have access to a restroom. But if you put a shed in your backyard, you cannot have electricity go directly to the shed without X amount of permits. I can understand that. You don't want a shed burning up, catching on fire. People put gas tanks in the shed. They put vehicles in sheds, the motorcycles, put lawnmowers, weed eaters. Some of that stuff is, gas powered. I understand this. These are things that people must understand when we have wildfires taking out entire, cities, thousands of homes and shit. In a time where we could have been training, firemen. We could have been putting electrical wires underground, but that is not the point of this video. This video was being born homeless. I mean, dying homeless, living homeless, being homeless. Because we all start out with parents with good intentions. Regardless if you have the dope fiend mother or the alcoholic dad, whatever the fuck you got is what you got. Human dignity and human respect is all that we can live for. And the fact that people are still making kids in this world, we got to at least give those kids a chance. But how do you believe that you have the opportunity to dream if you don't even have a home to live in? Then you start off in a home, things may be rocky, you get 9 or 10 years old and now you have no home to live in. Well, if you make it till you're 17 years old and then all of a sudden your parents can't afford to have you no more. That happens. There's people on the streets around here with backpacks. They're not going to school. They look like they're 14, 15 years old trying to find something to eat. These people are born into the American dream, the dream that's sold to people all around the world. But the reality is you're born here, you're most likely going to be homeless when you die. That is the American reality that nobody wants to tell. So, hey, look, I ain't got nothing to fucking lose. Why don't you write my name on the bottom when you go vote for president? Lonzo J. Hayden. Lonzo J. Hayden, President of the United States of America. Write that in there. Write my name in there. Republican or Democrat. The moral of the story is, with the people running the country the way they are, you are going to raise kids in this world, on this continent, just to be homeless. Your children will be in the streets like all these other people that you see because your destiny has already been cut short. Your $17.50 an hour job, your $25 an hour job is not going to help you buy a home. And then if you do buy the home, the taxes on the home, as soon as you lose your job, may be too much for you to even pay. The odds of you being able to take care of your family, not your fucking self, your tomorrow, your day after tomorrow, your great grandkids. There's no piece of dirt for them to lay their head. They will die homeless. No matter what fucking legacy you got, if there's no moral standard, there's no moral fiber, there's no moral being within a person's self. You can't be selfish. Nobody. If you don't own dirt that's fully paid for and a plan to maintain it, you can buy a house right now in America, just say $1 million. 900,000, 600,000, $1 million for a home that you will not be able to pay for, and you still end up homeless. $500,000 for a home that will cost over $1 million when you're finished paying for it, and you're still gonna end up homeless. $144,000 for a home that you will not live to finish paying for it, and you're going to end up homeless. The American reality is that you're going to be homeless. Not now. Some point. Not everybody hits that lottery and make that big comeuppance, buy their house, have their shit set, and pay for it forever. Just say if the government gave everyone a house tomorrow, every single person a home in America that can make one payment. The government gives everybody a $1 million house and tell you to make $782 payments a month. And if you miss one payment, you got to go. How many people in America will lose this $1 million home because they cannot get $800 a month, because they cannot get $700 a month, because they have no means of any way of making any kind of revenue. You can give a whole bunch of people 40 acres and a mule, but making them pay tax on that shit make you want to smile and put blood all up in your face. Just paint your lips red and act like that and do like that. The reality is 99.9% of the people who watch this video will die homeless. I want you to think about it. I want you who watching the video to be the 1% that don't be homeless. Because if we don't stack for tomorrow, tomorrow won't be here. We don't make it so tomorrow is easier for those who come after us. There won't be no tomorrow. What kind of lessons can be learned from what I just told you? I want to come to America because I got a chance to make it big time. Look at how many famous people started out back in the days are homeless. How many NBA players, NFL players, Army, Air Force, Marines, homeless. I did a song about this. It's a very bad, raspy song. It's like I might even, try to add it. But it's sad. It's pitifully hurting me to even think about what I just had to tell you. I can make it in America, send my money home, and live forever. That's what they do. When you have foreigners come here to America, they get all they can. They build their dream at home. And then they go. I know a few people who've done it. A friend of mine was sending money back to Kenya. Had property in Kenya. Had property in Kenya that he would have for all his life. But he died when he went back to Kenya in a car accident. But he got all that property from working here. I know a young Hispanic man from Mexico. He came from Mexico. He worked hard here. He owns 5 laundromats in Mexico. We work hard here and die homeless. We buy a home and have to pay taxes on it for the rest of our lives. I want you to think about this. You pay for your home and got to pay for the right to own it. You have to pay for the right to own your home once you own it. What if you can no longer pay for the right to own your home once you own it? You got to take out loans on your home to pay the taxes on your home. And then who ends up with your home? Not your family member, not the government itself, but the bank that you had to get the loan on to pay the taxes to the government for the home you already own. So then you end up dying homeless. That is the American reality. The only way we can change it is to change the politics around the situation. Corporations have always divided us. The bankers have always told the politicians what to do. Who makes the laws? Really, the people with the problems who have to abide by the laws? Who controls your destiny? Definitely not you. You get out of college, you're lucky enough to finish paying off your college debts. You go buy a piece of property that you have to pay for the rest of your life in every single state in the United States of America. So you can never leave nothing behind unless you got so much. We have too much. You can always pay, if you can pay the taxes for the next 70 years, you can change the way the tax rates work. It doesn't work. You know, the American dream is to accomplish, succeed, leave a legacy for your grandkids and great-grandkids, and have the big pictures of yourself. And, you know, here's a picture of my grandfather when he was 9 years old, when he used to live on the same property. Nope, you ain't got to get that. There will be no estate in your history that you can maintain. I had a friend told me he had 2 inheritances. He lived in my carport. He wasn't even 40 years old yet. Lived here for 3 years. Yep, moved out, came back for another 2. 2 inheritances. Now, can you imagine? Someone gives you $500,000 and you have nothing, and you might die homeless. If you would tell somebody in 1847 that $500,000 wasn't shit, they'd be like, damn, who the hell you think you are? Build a legacy for yourself, or you'll just fail over and over. A destiny unfulfilled. I normally go 40 minutes, but I want you to know the American dream and the American destiny is 2 different things. When you're dreaming, you're asleep, and when you watch your life go through a certain pattern, you watch people's lives go through a certain pattern, you see a trail mimicking itself throughout life after life after life after race after race, you come to one reality, that the American dream is a fantasy dream. The American reality is you're born into this life, and there's a 97.98% chance that you're going to die homeless.